7. And it says you are live, so we are live. We're not dead.
Yeah, and that's sad that that says live when we're talking about dead people. It should say dead. 8 seconds.
You are dead.
We are here tonight to communicate with deceased. Well, actually, tonight we're going to talk about curses, and which is good because Kevin loves to curse. If you don't, I know he tries to clean it up when we're on camera, but in private, he's like, "Well, shit, man." Yeah, and he's got his skull in his back pocket. He don't want to talk about that.
No, hey, man.
You do, Randy?
Oh, that stuff gets in your gums and tears them up.
Get your. Speaking of skulls, get your skull out tonight.
Oh, skull. Yeah, we don't.
I have a feeling.
The REM pod.
Yes, I've got that right here.
The Ouija board.
I'll put it out. Usually that scares the kids, but I'll put it out if you think that might.
I think we're going to get something else tonight.
So she can play with, or whoever can play with that metal there. And
all right, so 1 minute and counting here. Abnormal Alabama, My Haunted Dolls, Lady Cat Marie, and all kind of other stuff going on here. And I hope you join us because he needs to. Whoa, we're already getting communication that quick?
Did y'all hear that? That was, oh, good grief.
What was that?
I was opening my YouTube and that video of that Shirley doll popped up that I did a couple of weeks ago, and it was that spirit box.
Wow. All right, so what we're going to do now, Mr. Kevin Kane, is he's going to talk to, I think Claire is the girl's name.
Yeah, I was about to share a video here everywhere.
Phoenix City, Alabama, not too far from the little dollhouse grave of the other little girl. And some Louisiana connection to that story. And anytime you bring Louisiana in it, you know it's going to be a haunting experience. And probably some voodoo and whatnot. Do you have, Catherine, our voodoo doll? You know, probably some voodoo and whatnot. Do you?
I do. I think she's over there. Hold on, I'll get her.
Oh, we're going to bring on the voodoo doll? Here,
we're going to get it all pumped up here tonight because we are going. There's a lot of skeptics out there, and we're going to prove to you that something is out there. Look at Kevin. He's all serious there. He's looking for something.
Who, me?
No, you.
I'm just sharing the video.
What video are you going to share?
This video, or this live here, so people can tune in before I start doing
it. Looks almost like Kevin's hair.
This is a voodoo doll, and it's a love voodoo doll.
Oh, I love voodoo doll.
I made it specifically.
Kevin needs that because he's looking for love.
I made it specifically for Ashley, a friend of mine, and guess what?
What?
She found the love of her life.
She's been single. Yeah, she's been single for a long time. Kevin said he's getting up with the hose. He wants a real girlfriend. He says it's time for me to get down and dirty. Well, down and clean. How's that?
That's all from Kelsey's mouth. I didn't say a word of it.
There is Playful Rain is already here. Somebody say hi to Playful.
Hello, Playful Rain.
Hi, Playful Rain.
So does that mean, is she playing in the rain or what?
She's playing in the rain.
Okay, keep your day job.
Or no, I was singing like the Prince song, Playful Rain, Playful Rain.
Not Purple Rain, but Playful Rain.
Yeah, that's how I sang it before.
So
now,
where's Claire?
She's right here. I finished sharing, so now I'm going to.
He's been sharing and sharing and sharing. No, not Sharon, but sharing.
All right. So we are going to.
What in the world is that blurry crap?
That was my arm, and now here is Clara.
Did you use the underarm deodorant today?
Oh, shut up. The pretty blue-eyed brunette, Clara.
Oh, thank you, Kevin.
Blue. You may not see him on the camera very well, but she does have blue eyes. She's so pretty.
Oh, make her brown eyes blue.
her little schoolgirl dress.
What kind of shoes she got on?
Little boot. No, those are little dressy shoes.
They're Mary Jane's.
Yeah, and her little stockings on. Look at there. And there's
All
her
right.
bullet light that came with her.
So you're gonna dim your lights in there so this stands out better.
Well, I could, but it's gonna be dang dark in here.
Yeah, but that's what you do when you ghost hunt, Zach.
Let's see, how dark is it? See, you won't be able to see
that's
where
right.
it's squat.
Playful
Got it.
Rain, you missed an amazing show
Ah,
last
too
week.
dark.
You know what, Kevin? You just improved your looks 100%.
Oh, up
Okay.
yours with a trailer lawnmower.
Y'all hush for a second so I can update her. Okay, we had a like
Look at her. You froze. You didn't hear a word you said, Catherine.
okay, I'm sorry, Playful Rain, but we had an amazing show last week. We were getting intelligent responses from the cat ball last week.
That thing went off and did not stop going off until Kevin decides he wants to give the rest of the story, and it split the scene. Then never came back.
And
At least 30 to 45 minutes.
I was gonna say it was 45 minutes worth of show. Was that light going off over and over and answering questions?
Yeah.
And then I got something on the ghost that was with the lighting it up.
Had
And
to do with a Tutwiler downtown Birmingham.
yep, it was a good show.
Really big show.
Good
Yeah.
show.
It's archived. If you want to go to YouTube and look back and find it, you'll find it very interesting. Somebody else has joined us. Thank you very much for joining us here on this Tuesday night. Another Tuesday night with Abnormal Alabama. My Donut Halls,
My haunted dolls.
where we talk about the strangest, weirdest thing. Tonight's show is going to be about curses after we talk to this cursed doll. See
Oh,
if she's
she is
cursed or
not cursed.
So we are going to talk about curses.
Okay, that was weird.
What?
Well,
I'm just sitting here. My mouse I don't have I just have my laptop, but my mouse is sitting here going like round and round and round and round.
Round and round she goes.
Yeah, I don't have an external mouse hooked up to it. That's kind of weird.
In other words, your cursor is going around.
Yes, my cursor is going around and around.
Okay, we're going to turn this over to Kevin. I'm going to back out so you got more of the screen there, Kevin. Catherine,
okay.
Catherine will stay with you because she's a lot better looking than I am.
I'm gonna do like I usually do, Kevin. I gotta go find the show on YouTube,
Okay.
and I'll see you in a minute.
Okay. So this doll just came to me what was it, last week? Yeah, it was after last week's show. So it was last Wednesday she showed up. And although the doll came from Louisiana, the spirit who has attached to this doll is a little girl named Clara, who is an Alabama girl. She's from our state here. She came from Phoenix City, which is down in southeast Alabama, right near the Georgia state line, not too far, just over from Columbus, Georgia. So she is an Alabama girl, and she is back in her home state. Clara was 6 years old, and we don't know exactly what caused her to pass, but she is a happy girl. She's a girly girl. She loves jewelry, so I need to get her some jewelry. And she loves to be pampered because she was an only child and was very spoiled when she was alive, in a good way. She wasn't a mean little girl. But from what her former spirit mama told me, this is what we call a bullet light. There's a little light bulb on the end. I'm not going to touch it because every time I do, I mess it up. But it's kind of like the flashlight trick where if you unscrew the flashlight just enough where the ghost can touch it, they can turn it on and off by themselves to answer questions. Well, this is unscrewed a little bit. It's one of those little bulbs that goes in those outdoor patio light things that you stick in the ground. It's got those multiple little bulbs in it. And it's unscrewed to where if she squeezes it or taps it, it should light up. But if not, we have, of course, the cat ball. See it? It's a little easier to light up this week than it was last week. Maybe our little ghost friend last week fixed it. Got the old antique bell. And by request from Catherine, we got the return of the REM pod skull. And because she felt like we might get something from this. So I'm going to go ahead and see. I don't think Clara's former spirit mama ever tried a spirit box with her. So I'm going to try it. She has worked with her with this bullet light and the pendulum. All right, so Clara, I've got this spirit box on here.
Kevin, I'm going to make a suggestion to you before I forget it. Kelsey has a green light.
Oh, you froze. Or I froze. I don't know. Somebody froze. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but my spirit box went off. It must be on my end because everything's froze except for me. I'm going to try to refresh here and see if that works. Okay, I'm back. Where did Kelsey and Catherine go? We're still live. I froze or they froze. I don't know. Now they're gone. It's just me. So, all right. Well, I'm here. I should what? This is the ghost tube in case people are tuning in and have not seen this before. I like it because you can. It has the static option, but this takes the static out, so you can just hear the voices. Clara, are you here with me? If so, can you light up your bullet light, or if you want to touch that colorful ball there? Or yes, just speak through that device there. I guess I'm still live here. Looks like I am. We had a little technical difficulty a few minutes ago, and I don't see Kelsey and Catherine out here, so I don't know what's going on here. But they disappeared. I don't know where they went. Oh, here comes Catherine.
Apparently, our internet went out for a moment.
Oh, okay. Whew. Well, I didn't know if it was mine or yours, so I refreshed, and then it was just me out here. Oh, I think you froze again. Ah. Well, this is weird. Well, all right there, Clara. Looks like it's you and me. Clara, say hello to us. Hey, Clara. I heard a little girl's voice. Is that you, Clara? Ah,
I'm back.
she's back.
I'm having to use the phone. I think that okay, I'm gonna try to get back in through Spectrum, but we'll see.
Okay.
But I'm here on the phone.
I think I've got Clara talking here. Clara, are you happy to be back in Alabama?
Look at that. I'm magic.
Sorry, guys. I thought that was funny. You think
That's
you got Clara here?
Okay, we're back.
Yay.
Internet hiccup here in the Alabaster area.
Yeah. Before all that happened, Catherine, you started to say there was a suggestion. You had a suggestion. I never did hear what the suggestion. Something about a green.
Oh, Kelsey has a flashlight that spreads this green light everywhere.
Oh,
One night on the show, I want you to have it at your house so you can hit the hallway with it. Because a lot of your
Yeah,
spirits come from
yeah,
the hallway.
I have one of those here. I need to go. I need to find. But I do have one of those lights here. I haven't used it in a while.
What light are you talking about?
It's that one that does that puts that green grid.
Oh yeah, I've got
the
those. Yeah,
little ball, the little green lights go up on the wall. Yeah,
yeah, it's almost like a Connect thing. Yeah,
yeah, I do have one of those. I never could get any responses, so I just started using it for the cat to play with. But I will try that one night. That would be kind of neat to put over there in the hall there.
Yeah, I think that you're going to catch something with it.
I don't have a stand with it yet, so I have to hold it. But yeah, I could do that. I was telling Kelsey, I never got any luck with it, so I just started using it for the cat to play with. But I think I can put it back together. Well, the ghost tube went quiet. Are you still here, Clara? We didn't mean to ignore you or anything.
Hey, baby girl.
There was a girl's voice came through a couple of times. I couldn't quite tell what she was saying. Clara?
Toys Kevin gave you to play with tonight. You see that ball right there? It's fun. It lights up and makes pretty colors. And that other light there, you can touch it and it'll light up. And then don't be scared of the skull. It's just a funny. You just touch it. Did it just light up, Kevin?
Yes, there it goes again.
I told you the skull was going to be up tonight.
That is awesome. Thank you, Clara.
This is why I want you to get that flashlight and get it shined at the hallway, please, as soon as you can.
Okay.
Hey, Clara, can you talk to us? How are you? Are you liking your new home with Kevin?
Oh, she just said something. That was her voice.
Is he being good to you and spoiling you? Thank you so much for answering my questions. I can't quite understand you yet, but I know this is probably the first time you've ever used the phone thing, that little box right there, to talk. Getting better, much better. We've had an SW join us. Hello.
Yeah, I was going to say hello to SW. Not sure who.
Clara, can you make one of them lights or that skull go off for me? You did such a good job earlier. We're glad to have you, SW.
If you want to just tap that bell, it'll make a fun ringing noise.
Mm-hmm. The bell will work.
I hope I got your light. She just said light.
Oh no, Kelsey is doing something. No, we've had the REM pod go off. When I said the skull's not going to hurt you, the lights on the REM pod went off.
I don't know if that light's on enough where she can light it up. That's the thing with it. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. All right, there you go, sweetheart. I'm afraid to touch it because I want her to be able to light it up.
Claire, are you still with us?
Actions.
How old are you? Is she saying something? Yeah.
That was a noise, but it wasn't a word. And thank you, SW. SW said, I love your doll videos.
SW, be sure to buy one of his books. He's got some amazing books out there.
Oh, yes.
Claire, can you talk to us again and say something?
Longer.
How much longer? As long as you want to do this. We're not forcing you to do anything. We appreciate everything you're showing us.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us?
Claire, are you able to tell us how old you are? We get haunted dolls from all over the place. Some people send them to us. Private collectors. There's no telling where we'll get one from.
Yeah, I've gotten them from other collectors around the world, Australia, Europe, here in the U.S.
I think she was tired because she was a question.
Oh, it sounded like it said, that's your answer.
I'm liking you. You're doing so well for your first session.
You touch the wire on that skull back there and make his eyes go funny again. She said, nah, And some dude said something behind her.
You can build any of those lights.
Yeah,
Back
you're,
them up. Last week, you guys really missed an awesome show that lighting up from back up from the
yeah,
and
yeah, little Becky from the Tutwiler. Yeah. Maybe she'll come visit you, Clara. She might have followed me home from the hotel one night and saw all my spirits and said, I'm going to have to visit here more often.
she might.
Because they did that. I know those little girls from the Myrtles followed me home one time for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you, Catherine.
I said hello to Claire. She just said something.
Oh, yeah. I thought she might have said, that's nice when I mentioned the ghost visitors.
Let me ask you this question, Claire. What do you think of all the children spirit?
Uh-oh, Catherine disappeared. They're having internet troubles over there. I'll ask that question, Claire. What do you think of all the spirit children here? I know you were an only child. The owner of what? Are there other spirits with your doll? Who is the man with you? I hear a man talking. Of course, that might be for one of my spirits here. I have a couple of male spirits. Is that you, Lucian? Well, there's Catherine again.
Hi.
She said something to you.
She said hi. Are you the one making my internet act up, young lady? Yep. See, it just went off and on.
Do you have pretty blue eyes like your doll? Oh, was that a yes? Do you have dark hair like your doll? SW said that she has a question. What question did you want us to ask?
Are you enjoying this?
In this.
What did you say, Kevin?
Something like in this or something.
Or in this? She may be.
Maybe. SW was asking, is the other entity, that I guess the male voice, is the other entity that came through a jinn? No. Well, that's good. So that answer is no. I don't think I've ever had a Jen here.
I just want to ask if you're happy and you feel good. Happy.
Oh, she said, yeah. And then the guy said something.
Who's the man with you, Claire?
Yeah, who's that man with you? Bob? Oh, I thought I said Bob. James? I think Catherine's freezing up again.
I'm hearing that now. That the internet now because of something going on.
Yeah, I can barely hear you, Catherine. She said something about for a second. Are you playing with their internet, Clara?
She's messing with my internet again. Yeah, Clara. This happens.
SW says the man is giving her a really bad vibe. Clara, is there anything else you want to tell us? Or are you tired? Do you want to play with any toys before we stop? I know you played with the REM pod there. That was really awesome. All right, we'll go ahead and end this so we can do our stories. Hopefully, looks like Catherine disappeared. I think she and Kelsey are having an internet problem. So, is there any last thing you want to tell us, Clara, before I turn the spirit box off?
Shortly.
Sure. What would you like to tell us? Ooh, I thought I saw something over there in that little hallway. Claire, is there anything negative with you or here with us? This is the Ghost Tube app. All right, Claire, we need to get on with our stories about curses and everything. And I want to answer one of SW's questions over there. So I appreciate you talking to us and Catherine. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this box off. So if there are any spirits here that don't belong, I need for y'all to go back to where you came from. And all spirits that are here, back away. So I'm going to shut this door here. I'm going to turn this off when I count down from 5. So get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Goodbye. All right, now, Claire, if you want to play with your bullet light there, I'm going to put it over here next to you in the shade there. That way, if it lights up, I can see it. And I'll leave these on for you. See, all you got to do is tap that and it'll be colorful. But we're going to go ahead with the show. SW asked what was the scariest encounter I had with a doll. And there's one I do have sealed up named Lori, who I had to bless because she had a negative attached to her. And the prior owner bought her from off of eBay, and the person selling the doll claimed that Lori was a positive spirit, but when she got the doll, she and her roommate later that week started having violent nightmares, and they'd wake up with scratches on their bodies, and none of that happened until the doll came in the house. So she contacted me through a mutual friend and asked to send it here, which she did. And when I got it, as soon as that doll came to the house, I started feeling like I needed to throw up. And I usually don't feel that way unless I'm around something really negative or demonic. So I blessed that sucker that very night, and I sealed her up in a case. And that's where she stays, sort of like Annabelle. In fact, she is my Annabelle, basically. So I don't do any spirit boxes with her. I will not do anything to give her any attention. She stays in there on the shelf. Somebody asked, you ought to do a spirit box. I said, nope, I'm not giving her any attention. She is to stay there in that box. I think, I'm pretty sure the demonic that was with her is gone anyway, but in case anything else tries to use that as a conduit, I don't want to give it any attention. So that's that. And hi to DSMP Freak. And you're back. It's good to have you back. And to answer your question, SW, she has not bothered me since then, and neither has she bothered the prior owner. The prior owner told me after I blessed the doll, she said they had no other experiences in their house. So that's a good thing, which kind of leads into our stories about curses that we were going to talk about tonight. I don't know if I'm going to need to turn my, there comes Catherine, I think. We'll see in a second. Maybe she and Kelsey can just get on her phone and join us. Otherwise, I've got the stories here that I was going to share that could hopefully take us through the evening. Let's see. Does Catherine work now? Oh, I think she's still freezing. Yep. Looks like you might still be freezing up a little bit. I meant to upload some pictures here because I was going to talk about some curses. And one of the ones I was going to talk about, there goes Catherine. They're having internet problems, she and Kelsey both. So hopefully they'll get back on here. If not, I'm going to go ahead. Either way. I think we got Catherine on her phone there. There we go.
Yes, I'm on my phone. I don't know why it says we got internet, we're connected, and I've reset everything, and I don't know what's going on.
I don't know either. That's just weird. I was about to talk about one of my favorite stories. It has to do with a curse. It's also a ghost story, but it has to do with a curse. Some people believe it came from a curse. It sounds like a 50s horror movie. But I think that they even got the inspiration for the Blair Witch Project came from this historical famous story, and that is the Bell Witch and her curse in Tennessee. Her curse on the Adams family.
Gotta go back to the book.
John Adams and his family. Yeah, I first heard that story, just like most of the ghost stories when I was a kid. I first heard that story from Catherine Tucker Wyndham. She talked about it in 2 of her books, Jeffrey's 13 More Southern Ghosts, and also in 13 Tennessee Ghosts.
She wrote the Alabama 13 Ghosts, didn't she? She wrote the Alabama 13 Ghosts. She wrote the Alabama 13 Ghosts.
Yeah, she wrote 13 Alabama Ghosts and Jeffrey, 13 Mississippi Ghosts, 13 Georgia Ghosts, 13 Southern Ghosts, a bunch of books. But the story of the Bell Witch, and I don't know if this property is still there. That is what was the house of John Adams, where all of this took place in Adams, Tennessee. And the Bell Witch, people believe, came from a curse that was put on the Adams family. And I'm going to read the story here about that curse, that ghost. Adams, Tennessee, in 1817, was the site of one of the most well-known hauntings in American history, so well known that it eventually caught the attention and even the involvement of a future president of the United States. Known as the Bell Witch, the strange and often violent poltergeist activity that provoked fear and curiosity in the small farming community has remained unexplained for nearly 200 years and is the inspiration for many fictional ghost stories. The facts of the Bell Witch case share little in common with the mythology created for the Blair Witch Project, except they both attracted a great deal of public interest. And because it really happened, the Bell Witch is far scarier. One early account of the Bell Witch haunting was written in 1886 by historian Albert Virgil Goodpasture in his History of Tennessee book. He wrote, quote, "A remarkable occurrence which attracted widespread interest was connected with the family of John." Oh, it's Bell, John Bell. The name of the city is Adams, so I always get that confused, but John Bell. Bell was the name of the family. Of course, that's where the name Bell Witch came from. John Bell, who settled near what is now Adams Station in about 1804. So great was the excitement that people came from hundreds of miles around to witness the manifestations of what was popularly known as the Bell Witch. This witch was supposed to be some spiritual being having the voice and attributes of a woman. It was invisible to the eye, yet it would hold conversation and even shake hands with certain individuals. The freaks it performed were wonderful and seemingly designed to annoy the family. It would take the sugar from bowls, spill the milk, take the quilts from the beds, slap and pinch the children, and then laugh at the discomfort of its victims. At first, it was supposed to be a good spirit, but its subsequent acts, together with the curses with which it supplemented its remarks, proved the contrary. A volume might be written concerning the performance of this wonderful being, as they are now described by contemporaries and their descendants. That all this actually occurred will not be disputed, nor will a rational explanation be attempted. So what was the Bell Witch? Like most stories, certain details vary from version to version, but the prevailing account, the most popular one and what most people really believe, is that the witch was the spirit of Kate Batts, a mean old neighbor of John Bell who believed she was cheated by him in a land purchase. So that's where the curse comes in. On her deathbed, she swore a curse that John Bell and his descendants would be haunted because she believed he cheated her in a land purchase. The story is picked up by the Guidebook for Tennessee, published in 1933 by the federal government's Work Project Administration. Quote, Sure enough, tradition says the Bells were tormented for years by the malicious spirit of old Kate Batts. John Bell and his favorite daughter Betsy were the principal targets. Toward the other members of the family, the witch was either indifferent or, as in the case of Mistress Bell, friendly. No one ever saw her, but every visitor to the Bell home heard her all too well. Her voice, according to one person who heard it, spoke at a nerve-wracking pitch when displeased, while at other times it sang and spoke in low musical tones. The spirit of old Kate led John and Betsy Bell a merry chase. She threw furniture and dishes at them. She pulled their noses, yanked their hair, poked needles into them. She yelled all night to keep them from sleeping, and snatched food from their mouths at mealtime. So widely spread was the news about the Bell Witch that people came from hundreds of miles around, hoping to hear the spirit's shrill voice or witness a manifestation of its vile temper. When word of the haunting reached Nashville, one of its most famous citizens, General Andrew Jackson, decided to gather a party of friends and journey to Adams to investigate. The general, who had earned his tough reputation in many conflicts with Native Americans, was determined to confront the phenomenon and either expose it as a hoax or send the spirit away. A chapter in N.B. Ingram's 1894 book, An Authenticated History of the Famous Bell Witch, considered by many to be the best account of the story, is devoted to telling about Jackson's visit. Quote, General Jackson's party came from Nashville with a wagon loaded with a tent, provisions, etc., bent on a good time and much fun investigating the witch and her curse. The men were riding on horseback and were following along in the rear of the wagon as they approached near the place, discussing the matter and planning how they were going to do up the witch. Just then, traveling over a smooth, level piece of road, the wagon halted and stuck fast. The driver popped his whip, whooped and shouted to the team of horses, and the horses pulled with all their might, but could not move the wagon even an inch. It was dead stuck, as if it welded to the earth. General Jackson commanded all men to dismount and put their shoulders to the wheels and give the wagon a push, but all in vain. It was no go. The wheels were then taken off one at a time and examined and found to be all right, revolving easily on the axles. General Jackson, after a few moments' thought, realizing they were in a fix, threw up his hands, exclaiming, "By the eternal, boys, it's the witch!" Then came the sound of a sharp, metallic voice from the bushes saying, "All right, General, let the wagon move on. I will see you again tonight." The men, in bewildered astonishment, looked in every direction to see if they could discover from where came the strange voice, but could find no explanation to the mystery. The horses then started unexpectedly of their own accord, and the wagon rolled along as light and smoothly as ever. According to some versions of the story, Jackson did indeed encounter the Bell Witch that night. Quote, Betsy Bell screamed all night from the pinching and slapping she received from the witch, and Jackson's covers were ripped off as quickly as he could put them back on, and he had his entire party of men were slapped, pinched, and had their hair pulled by the witch until morning, when Jackson and his men decided to hightail it out of Adams. Jackson was later quoted as saying, "I'd rather fight the British in New Orleans than to have to fight the Bell Witch." So the torment of the Bell House continued for years, culminating in the ghost's ultimate act of vengeance upon the man she claimed had cheated her. She took responsibility for his death. In 1820, Bell was struck with an illness while walking to the pigsty of his farm. Some believe he suffered a stroke, since thereafter he had difficulty speaking and swallowing. In and out of bed for several weeks, his health declined. On the morning of December 19, he failed to awake at his regular time. When the family noticed he was sleeping unnaturally, they attempted to arouse him. They discovered that John was in a stupor and could not be completely awakened. John Jr. went to the medicine cupboard to get his father's medicine and noticed it was gone with a strange vial in its place. No one claimed to have replaced the medicine with the vial. A doctor was summoned to the house. The witch began taunting that she had placed the vial in the medicine cabinet and given Bell a dose of it while he slept. Contents of the vial were tested on a cat and discovered to be highly poisonous. John Bell died on December 20th. Kate was quiet until after the funeral. After the grave was filled, the witch began singing loudly and joyously. This continued until all friends and family left the gravesite. The Bell witch left the Bell household in 1821, saying she would return in 7 years' time. She made good on her promise and appeared at the home of John Bell Jr., where it is said she left him with prophecies of future events, including the Civil War and World Wars I and II. The ghost said it would reappear 107 years later in 1935, but if she did, no one in Adams came forward to witness to it. But some claim the spirit still haunts the area and the curse remains. On the property once owned by the Bells is a cave, which has since become known as the Bell Witch Cave, and many locals claim to have seen strange apparitions at the cave and at other spots on the property. So that cave is still open to this day. Oh, I hope we got Kelsey and Catherine back. But the cave is still open for tours. And I think I don't think that house is still there. I could be wrong. But they've got a few other structures that you can look in, and there's a gift shop. But the cave is open for tours. They say that was where the Bell family used to store their food, John Bell. And somewhere not too far off from that property is where their grave sites are. And John Bell's tomb several years ago, not the tomb, but the headstone, disappeared mysteriously, and people believed it was stolen. But apparently it reappeared sometime later back in its original spot. So they say the witch and her curse are still there. I didn't find it tonight, but I read an article about there are some descendants of the Bells that live in Mississippi, and they were interviewed sometime 10, 15 years ago. And when they were asked about the curse, they said they never experienced anything, no hauntings. They've never seen or heard from the Bell Witch. So maybe the curse is only on the land itself and not with the family. I would like to go visit that cave one day, but there's certain things. There's someone who's attached to that. I don't know if he still is, but we had a problem with him at an event one time, which kind of keeps me from wanting to go up there. I don't want to run into him. Otherwise, I would love to visit the Bell Witch. He was a big aficionado on the Bell Witch, but I don't think he's attached to the people who run the property. Trying to see, do we have? Okay, my K2 meter is going off. Oh, that's funny. Catherine and Kelsey start popping on, and the K2 meter goes off. Let's see. There's Catherine. The K2 meter just went off.
Hello.
When you and Kelsey were popping on. Well, Kelsey,
our internet, I don't know what's wrong with it.
Well, dang, I don't know.
I do not know what's wrong with the internet. I'm using my phone.
I see Kelsey was trying to pop back on. I didn't know if he had some curse stories to share. I got some here, but we're almost at the top of the hour here, so I could tell about
Yeah.
Should I add? Should
Yeah,
I
add
add?
Kelsey on. He's on his
There we
phone.
go.
There you go.
There
All
he
right.
is.
Now we've got our Spectrum internet has always been a very good internet, but tonight it's not very good. It keeps coming and going and whatnot. So anyway, I'm just going to let you carry on. Is my point.
Okay.
Hello?
I was telling Catherine when y'all popped on this time, my K2 meter started going off.
Because we're ghostly.
Or not the K2, but the REM pod. It started going off. You're ghostly.
I was going to say that REM pod was talking to me tonight. Somebody was saying to turn it on. I told you that when we started the show. I felt that you needed to get it out. It came on that one time when we were doing Claire's reading, and now it's going off again. My internet's not doing good. Got me wondering here.
Wow.
Wow.
We're almost at the top of the hour, so I'll go ahead and we should put up.
Okay. All right. I'm not doing too well holding this phone up, so I'm going to let you run with it.
Okay. I'm going to turn on the ticker here for the wishing machine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes,
And,
got like 4 orders for the wishing machines going out. Hopefully this week. If you do not know what a wishing machine is, you need to go to thewishdr.com. And it's also on TikTok. There's little videos on TikTok, YouTube, you name it. The wish machine is something that you need. Let's put it this way. I put my picture on it the other day, and good things happened. I thought, let's put it this way. I'm a happy person right this moment.
Okay. As long as your face didn't catch on fire when you put.
No, it didn't, but good things happen. And I'm not complaining.
I put a picture of that. There's the wish machine.
That's the wishing machine with the purple plate on it. Do you see that purple plate on the top?
Yep.
That is a Tesla plate. And it gives off energy. Most machines use the white plate, but we use the purple plate because it gives off more energy. That thing on the left there, top left, that is a Tesla coil.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
The dials are right there on the front where you set it. And then you got your input jack and your output jack. You can put we sell this type of metal bowl that you can clip the input jack onto, and you can clip the output jack onto yourself, so you'll get more power out of the machine.
That's really neat. And then let's go ahead and put up his other. He's got this book here at datingthedead.com. Dating the Dead and Spectrophilia. These are stories about people where people claiming they've had relationships with ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot, a car, everything. So it's basically supernatural romance right there, real life stuff.
Don't forget those that dig up their dead.
Yes. The ones that dig up their dead to celebrate with them.
Yes, they clean them, bathe them, and bury them back in the ground after they're done.
Yep.
Some very interesting stories in that book there.
And then my website, and here's a bumper sticker you can buy there, myhauntedDolls.com.
And if you don't have one on your car, you're not cool.
I got one on my car, and I've got the car tag too. You can buy a car tag on my website. I mean, the kind you put on the front of your car, not the license plate, but and then all my books are out there. My haunted collection, The Dark Side, that tells the scary stories behind my haunted items. And I've got some supernatural novels out there, Crimson the Blood Painting. And my most recent published book, Dark Awakening and Other Tales for a Midnight Hour, which is a collection of original short stories I wrote that are scary and supernatural. So there's our shameless plug. Annabelle says, check out myhauntedolls.com. All right. So
And I am on TikTok as Abnormal Alabama Cat Marie.
yes.
I've got I have video of Caroline moving. Several spirit box sessions on there, and some adventures.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. They're good.
Never know where I'm going to be.
All right, so I talked about the Bell Witch, and now I want to do another famous curse. So this one's speaking of haunted items, here's a cursed item. I bet you've heard of this, the Hope Diamond. Have you heard of the Hope Diamond?
I have heard of the Hope Diamond. Don't people just die if they wear it?
I believe yeah, there's been a lot of deaths here, and I'm gonna share the story here and put up the picture of the actual diamond itself. There it is right there. It's beautiful. One of those that makes you want to reach out and touch it, but I wouldn't.
I don't know.
I think it might be in a museum now. But maybe we'll find out here in the story. The curse of the Hope Diamond. According to the legend, a curse attends the owner of the Hope Diamond. A curse that first befell the large blue gem when it was stolen from an idol in India. A curse that foretold bad luck and death, not only for the owner of the diamond, but for all who touched it. Whether or not you believe in curses, the Hope Diamond has intrigued people for centuries. Its perfect quality, its large size, and its rare color make it strikingly unique and beautiful. Its fascination is enhanced by a varied history, which includes being owned by King Louis the 14th, stolen during the French Revolution, sold to earn money for gambling, worn to raise money for charity, and then finally donated to the Smithsonian Institute, where it resides today. I knew it. It's in a museum. The Hope Diamond is truly unique, but is there really a curse? Where did the Hope Diamond come from, and why was such a valuable gem donated to the Smithsonian? Pierre Cartier was one of the famous Cartier jewelers, and in 1910 he told the following story to Evelyn Walsh McLean and her husband Edward to entice them to buy the enormous rock. The very wealthy couple, he was the son of the owner of the Washington Post, and she was the daughter of a successful gold miner, were vacationing in Europe when they met with Cartier. According to Cartier's story, several centuries ago, a man named Tavernier made a trip to India. While there, he stole a large blue diamond from the forehead or eye of a statue of the Hindu goddess Sita. For this transgression, according to the legend, Tavernier was torn apart by wild dogs on a trip to Russia after he had sold the diamond. This was the first horrible death attributed to the curse, said Cartier. There would be many to follow. Cartier told the McLeans about Nicolas Foucault, a French official who was executed. Princess de Lamballe, beaten to death by a French mob. Louis XIV and Marie Antoinette were beheaded. In 1908, Sultan Abdul Hamid of Turkey purchased the stone and subsequently lost his throne, and his favorite Sabaya wore the diamond and was slain. Greek jeweler Simon Montharides was killed when he, his wife, and child rode over a precipice. The grandson of Henry Thomas Hope, for whom the diamond is named, died penniless. There was a Russian count and an actress who owned the stone in the early 20th century, and both of them came to bad ends. But researcher Richard Curran reports that many of these stories were misleading and some were flat out lies. In her memoir, Father, I Struck It Rich, Evelyn McLean wrote that Cartier was most entertaining. She's quoted as saying, I might have been excused that morning for believing that all the violences of the French Revolution were just the repercussions of that Hindu idol's wrath. So how much of Cartier's story was true? The blue diamond was first found by Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, a 17th century jeweler, traveler, and storyteller who wandered the world between 1640 and 1667, looking for gems. He visited India, at the time famous for abundance of large colored diamonds, and bought, probably in the diamond market there, an uncut 112 3/16 carat blue diamond, believed to have come from the Kolar mine in Golconda, India. So he bought it. He didn't steal it. Tavernier arrived back in France in 1668, where he was invited by the French King Louis XIV, or the Sun King as he was known, to visit him at court, describe his adventures, and sell him diamonds. Louis XIV bought the large blue diamond as well as 44 large diamonds and some smaller diamonds. Tavernier was made a noble, wrote his memoirs in several volumes, and died at the age of 84 in Russia. In 1673, King Louis XIV decided to recut the diamond to enhance its brilliance. He officially named it the Blue Diamond of the Crown, and would often wear the diamond on a long ribbon around his neck. In 1749, Louis XIV's grandson, Louis XV, was king and ordered the crown jeweler to make a decoration for the Order of the Golden Fleece using the blue diamond, and the resulting decoration was extremely ornate. When Louis XV died, his grandson, Louis XVI, became king with Marie Antoinette as his queen. Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI were beheaded during the French Revolution, but not, of course, because of the blue diamond's curse. During the Reign of Terror, the crown jewels, including the blue diamond, were taken from the royal couple after they attempted to flee France in 1791. The jewels were placed in the royal storehouse known as the Garde Meublée de la Corona, but were not well guarded. Between September 12th and 16th of 1791, the Garde Meublée was reportedly looted, something officials did not notice until September 17th. Though most of the crown jewels were soon recovered, the blue diamond was not, and it disappeared. A large 44-carat blue diamond resurfaced in London by 1813 and was owned by jeweler Daniel Eliasson by 1823. It is not certain the blue diamond in London was the same one stolen because the one in London was of a different cut. Yet most people feel the rarity and perfection of the French blue diamond and the blue diamond that appeared in London makes it likely that someone recut the French blue diamond in the hopes of hiding its origin. King George IV of England bought the blue diamond from Daniel Eliasson, and upon King George's death, the diamond was sold to pay off his debts. So why is it called the Hope Diamond? By 1839, or possibly earlier, the blue diamond was in the possession of Henry Philip Hope, one of the heirs of the banking firm Hope & Company. Hope was a collector of fine art and gems, and he acquired the large blue diamond that was soon to carry his family's name. Since he had never married, Henry Hope left his estate to his three nephews when he died in 1839. The Hope Diamond went to the oldest of the nephews, Henry Thomas Hope. Henry Thomas Hope married and had one daughter. His daughter grew up, married, and had 5 children. When Henry Thomas Hope died in 1862, the Hope Diamond stayed in the possession of Hope's widow and her grandson, the second oldest son, Lord France Hope, inherited the Hope as part of his grandmother's life estate shared with his siblings. Because of his gambling and high spending, Francis Hope asked permission from the court in 1898 to sell the Hope Diamond, but his siblings opposed its sale and his request was denied. He appealed again in 1899, and again his request was denied. In 1901, on an appeal to the House of Lords, Francis Hope was finally granted permission to sell the diamond. It was Simon Frankel, an American jeweler, who bought the Hope Diamond in 1901 and brought it to the U.S. The diamond changed hands several times during the next few years, ending with Pierre Cartier. Cartier believed he had found a buyer in Evelyn Walsh McLean, who had first seen the diamond in 1910 while visiting Paris with her husband. Since Mrs. McLean previously told Pierre Cartier that objects usually considered bad luck turned into good luck for her, in his pitch, Cartier emphasized the Hope Diamond's negative history. However, since Mrs. McLean did not like the diamond in its current mounting, she turned him down. A few months later, Pierre Cartier arrived in the U.S. and asked Mrs. McLean to keep the Hope Diamond for the weekend. Having reset the Hope Diamond into a new mounting, Cartier hoped she would grow attached to it over the weekend. He was right, and she bought the Hope Diamond. When Evelyn's mother-in-law heard about the sale, she was aghast and persuaded Evelyn to send it back to Cartier, who sent it right back to her and then had to sue to get the McLeans to pay the promised fee. Once that was cleared up, Evelyn McLean wore the diamond constantly. According to one story, it took a lot of persuading by McLean's doctor to get her to take off the necklace, even for a goiter operation. Though McLean wore the Hope Diamond as a good luck charm, others saw the curse strike her too. McLean's first son, Vincent, died in a car crash when he was only 9. McLean suffered another major loss when her daughter committed suicide at the age of 25. In addition to all this, McLean's husband was declared insane and confined to a mental institution until his death in 1941. Though Evelyn McLean had wanted her jewelry to go to her grandchildren when they were older, her jewelry was put up for sale in 1949, 2 years after her death, in order to settle debts from the estate. When the Hope Diamond went on sale in 1949, it was acquired by the famed New York jeweler Harry Winston. On numerous occasions, Winston offered the diamond to various ladies to be worn at balls to raise money for charity. Winston donated the Hope Diamond to the Smithsonian Institute in 1958 to be the focal point of a newly established gem collection, as well as to inspire others to donate. On November 10th, 1958, the Hope Diamond traveled in a plain brown box by registered mail and was met by a large group of people at the Smithsonian who celebrated its arrival. The Smithsonian received a number of letters and newspaper stories suggesting that the acquisition of such an ill-famed stone by a federal institution meant bad luck for the entire country. So that's what's happened to us. The Hope Diamond is currently on display as part of the National Gem and Mineral Collection in the National Museum of Natural History for all to see, but not touch. So that is the story of the curse of the Hope Diamond, or the alleged curse. Ooh-wee, I've been talking a lot.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get internet over here. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Man. Maybe them Bigfoot people rubbed something off on us a couple of weeks ago. Because
I don't know what it is.
they kept having trouble with their internet. Dang, I thought I had, but I can pull it up real easily. The Curse of the King Tut Tomb. Everybody's, or at least most people, have heard of the King Tut Tomb curse. I thought I had it saved here, but I can pull up the story pretty easily here now.
Well, it's funny. My 5G is not working here, which it usually does. I'm only running off 4G on my phone right now.
Maybe it's that thing out of the Dybbuk box that y'all opened up a few months ago.
It could be.
Ooh.
I can't see any of the chat, so hello
Yeah.
everyone if you're still there and those that have joined.
Had a comment. SW asked earlier, do you think evil eye links to curses? I've heard that evil eye thing. In fact, I've heard of older Italian women talk about, I'm going to give you the evil eye. Actually, I think I've heard that in the Jewish thing. Are you giving the evil eye over there? Oh, let's see.
Why not?
Jack Halloween. Jack Halloween says colored gemstones can be enchantingly beautiful. Yes, almost mesmerizing, hypnotic even. Which is why people get so overwhelmed into wanting to buy them when they see them sitting there in the jewelry cabinets at the jewelry store.
If my face disappears, y'all, my hand got tired of holding this phone. But I'm still here.
All right. But I've got, here we go, the story of King Tut's tomb here. I think I pulled it up here. Here we go.
I'm thinking about going in here and hooking up directly to the internet and see if it'll work that way.
Maybe.
I don't know anything about internet other than there's 2 boxes and you've got to plug this one to that one, and I don't know.
All right.
Go on with Kevin.
The King Tut tomb, the curse of King Tut and his tomb. There's King Tut's casket there. In 1922 in Thebes, Egypt, the esteemed archaeologist Howard Carter, alongside his financial backer Lord Carnarvon, held a flickering match up to the darkness. They were underneath the Egyptian sand at the mouth of the tomb of boy pharaoh Tutankhamun. I think I pronounced that right. Hot air, trapped for thousands of years, escaped the ancient doorway. Said Carter, as my eyes grew accustomed to the light, details of the room within emerged slowly from the mist. Strange animals, statues, and gold everywhere the glint of gold. For the moment, an eternity, it must have seemed to the others standing by. I was struck dumb with amazement, and when Lord Carnarvon, unable to stand the suspense any longer, inquired anxiously, "Can you see anything?" It was all I could do to get out the words, "Yes, wonderful things." After years and years of searching, the pair had found the final resting place of the famous Child King, uncovering the most well-preserved tomb in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Howard Carter and Lord Carnarvon became instant celebrities, but all was not well for long. As legend has it, there's an ancient curse associated with the mummies and tombs of the Egyptian pharaohs. Disturbing these embalmed remains has been said to bring bad luck, illness, and death. Shortly after unearthing King Tut's tomb, Carnarvon was found dead. A mosquito bite on his face had become infected, leading to deadly blood poisoning. And he would not be the only death, illness, or unlucky occurrence associated with this expedition. Carnarvon's half-brother also died from blood poisoning. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed died from a mysterious illness, and George J. Gould died from a fever following his visit to Egypt, among many others. Objects from the tomb were given as gifts to Carter's friends, Sir Bruce Ingram, or his friend, Sir Bruce Ingram, whose house burned down not long after. He rebuilt, but the house then flooded. Was this the result of a deadly ancient curse or a circumstantial coincidence? That's up to you to decide. Let's see what else we can find on here. If there's any, let's see if there's any other. Here's something about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the famous creator of Sherlock Holmes. He suggested that Lord Carnarvon's death had been caused by elementals created by Tutankhamun's priests to guard the royal tomb, and this further fueled the media interest in the curse. Arthur Weigall reported that 6 weeks before Carnarvon's death, he had watched the Earl laughing and joking as he entered the king's tomb and said to a nearby reporter, "I give him 6 weeks to live." The first autopsy carried out on the body of Tutankhamun by Dr. Derry found a healed lesion on the left cheek, but as Carnarvon had been buried 6 months previously, it was not possible to determine if the location of the wound on the king corresponded with the fatal mosquito bite on Carnarvon. A study of documents and scholarly sources led the Lancet to conclude it unlikely that Carnarvon's death had anything to do with King Tut's tomb, refuting another theory that exposure to toxic fungus had contributed to his demise. The report points out that the Earl was only one of many to enter the tomb on several occasions, and that none of the others were afflicted. The cause of Carnarvon's death was reported as pneumonia supervening on facial erysipelas. Pneumonia was thought to be only one of various complications arising from the progressively invasive infection that eventually resulted in multi-organ failure. The Earl had been prone to frequent and severe lung infections, according to the Lancet, and there had been a general belief that one acute attack of bronchitis could have killed him. In such a debilitated state, the Earl's immune system was easily overwhelmed by erysipelas. In 1925, the anthropologist Henry Field, accompanied by someone named Breasted, visited the tomb and recalled the kindness and friendliness of Carter. He also reported how a paperweight given to Carter's friend Sir Bruce Ingram was composed of a mummified hand with its wrist adorned with a scarab bracelet marked, "Cursed be he who moves my body, to him shall come fire, water, and pestilence." Soon after receiving the gift, Ingram's house burned down, followed by a flood when it was rebuilt. Howard Carter was entirely skeptical of such curses, dismissing them as Tommy rot and commenting that the sentiment of the Egyptologist is not one of fear, but of respect and awe, entirely opposed to foolish superstitions. In 1926, he reported in his diary a sighting of a jackal of the same type as Anubis, the guardian of the dead, for the first time in over 35 years of working in the desert, although he did not attribute this to supernatural causes. Skeptics have pointed out that many others who visited the tomb or helped to discover it lived long and healthy lives. A study showed that 58 people who were present when the tomb and sarcophagus were opened that out of those 58, only 8 of them died within a dozen years. All the others were still alive, including Howard Carter, who died of lymphoma in 1939 at the age of 64. The last survivors included Lady Evelyn Herbert, who was Lord Carnarvon's daughter, who was among the first people to enter the tomb after its discovery. She lived for a further 57 years and died in 1980. And American archaeologist J.O. Kinnaman was there and did not die until 39 years after the event. So there is some skepticism there on whether or not there is a curse with King Tut's tomb. We got some comments out here. Catherine, we were assuming you were being enchanting. I guess that's with her evil eye thing she did earlier. All right. They're trying to get back in on the internet. Looks like Catherine's on. Let's see.
Oh, that's from my phone. Hold on, let me turn my phone off, okay?
Well, you're back on, Catherine. Look at
And I'm eating.
that. I think Jack Halloween said of your evil eye, Catherine, we were assuming you were being enchanting.
It doesn't look as good on the computer as it does on the phone.
Yeah. I think that's what he meant. Oh, here's Playful Rain giving her eyes there.
You know, Jack Halloween, Jack Skellington is my favorite character.
Oh, is that, start to say it, The Nightmare Before Christmas? There we go. I keep wanting to say The Nightmare Before Halloween. It's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Because it's so Halloweeny.
Yeah.
Let's see. Colored gemstones can be enchantingly beautiful.
Oh, there's Kelsey.
What? There he is.
I've talked about 3 curses. Did you have anything you wanted to tell, or
Yeah, curse you.
curse me?
I don't know because my internet was down. I don't know what did you talk about James Dean and the Little Bastard?
No, I talked about the Hope Diamond, King Tut's tomb, and the Bell Witch curse, but I hadn't talked about James Dean.
Well, it's not lengthy, but I'll share you an interesting story. We all know James Dean, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And the curse of the Little Bastard. Are you familiar with that?
I have heard about the curse, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
Well, it's September the 30th, 1955. Almost 60 freaking 7 years ago. Can you believe that? 67 years ago, James Dean was killed when the silver Porsche 550 Spider was struck by an oncoming vehicle. Do you know what the nickname that he gave to his Porsche was?
Christine.
No, Little Bastard.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Within about a year of Dean's crash, the car was at least loosely involved in 2 more fatal accidents and 2 other injuries. The better confirmed series of incidents occurred after hot rod designer George Barris purchased the car. You know who George Barris was?
Yeah, I know that name.
Well, he created like the Batmobile, the original one, and a lot of the famous vehicles that you have seen or heard of in movies and whatnot, from the Green Hornet to on. While getting a tune-up, Little Bastard fell on a mechanic's legs and broke them. 2 doctors supposedly purchased the engine and transmission from the car, of whom one was killed and the other seriously injured in subsequent car accidents, though it hasn't been confirmed that the deaths occurred in cars that contained Little Bastard's parts. Someone else had purchased the tires, which blew simultaneously, sending the driver to the hospital. From there, reports get a little bit muddled. We know that Little Bastard's shell disappeared sometime between 1960 while on the exhibition circuit. According to some, a truck carrying it crashed, killing the driver, and Little Bastard was gone by the time the authorities arrived on scene. By other accounts, it was merely stolen en route. Either way, perhaps it's best for the rest that Little Bastard is off the roads. So now you know the rest of the story. What about the Curse of Spider-Man?
I saw that today as I was looking at these curses. I hadn't read about it yet, so I'm curious about that.
It took 9 years of rehearsals to get the seemingly cursed Broadway musical Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark off the ground. The play, Julie Taymor's reinterpretation of the comic book hero's bid to save New York City, was plagued by one delay after another despite an all-star cast and crew that included superstars like Bono and The Edge, both members of the band U2. The trouble began when the show's budget began to blossom uncontrollably, racking up a record $65 million or more in expenses. Then, in the musical's third year of rehearsing, producer Tony Adams died of a heart attack at age 52. There were so many injuries to the cast during the rehearsal of high-flying spider stunts that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration stepped in to investigate. Director Julie Taymor was fired and replaced by former Barnum and Bailey director Philip William McKinley. And then the show's opening date was pushed back at least 5 times. When the production did finally open in June 2011, good luck seemed to prevail. During the final week of 2011, Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark grossed a record-breaking $2.9 million from just 9 performances. But the show closed in 2014, citing weak ticket sales and the difficulty of getting injury insurance. At the time of closure, it had not made back its money.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Kevin and Kelsey.
Okay.
Have you ever cast a curse on someone or a hex?
Nope.
I bet you have. And you don't even realize it.
Oh.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me.
Ooh. Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you says bounces off of me and sticks to you.
Ooh.
Have you ever said those? I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you.
I guess that does sound like a curse.
Did you not ever say these things as kids?
I did the sticks and stones, but I've heard the rubber one. I don't think I ever said it, but I've heard that before.
What about you, Kelsey?
I never heard of that one.
Um,
I've heard of sticks and stones can break your bones, but words will never harm you. I heard that one.
Yeah, I didn't ever think of that as a curse.
I didn't. I thought that's just saying, hey, don't let people's, words, whatever.
they are actually curses or hexes, whatever you want to call them.
Oh,
Ooh. Cause somebody's bones to be broken or something.
I don't know.
Sounds like step on a crack and break your mother's back.
That's another one.
I thought that was superstition.
Very superstitious.
Yeah, very superstition.
Writings on the wall.
Whoa.
Superstitions and curses do kind of go hand in hand a little bit there in some ways.
Oh, and I forgot I was not able to say the word phenomenon.
Phenomenon. I said it earlier.
I know, and I was in the background saying it, but you couldn't hear me.
Do what?
Yeah, the word phenomenon.
He said phenomenon earlier,
Is that phenomenal?
and I wasn't on live.
Is that phenomenal?
It's phenomenal.
Phenomenal?
I think that was during the
Phenomenon.
Hope Diamond story, but I can't swear to it because of that or the Bell Witch.
Are you a witch?
I'm not a witch, but the Bells had a witch.
Are you sure you're not a witch?
The Bells, they had a witch, a witchy, witchy witch.
A witch that had the twitch. Oh, Lord. Huh?
I got a curse story up here that I'd almost forgotten about. This historical curse right here in the U.S. that has to do with our presidents.
Well, you can do that curse.
Okay.
I bet you I know what that one is. But then if you want to hear about the 27 Club curse or the Gillette curse, just tell me. What about the Billy Goat curse?
Oh, yeah. The president curse is the Tecumseh's curse, which some people believe killed 7 presidents in the U.S. What happened was in 1840, William Henry Harrison won the presidency with a slogan, Tippecanoe and Tyler too, which referenced Harrison's role in the American victory at the Battle of Tippecanoe in 1811. While Tecumseh was the leader of the Shawnee, the opposing side in the battle, his hatred for Harrison actually dated back to 1809. While governor of the Indiana Territory, Harrison negotiated a treaty with the indigenous peoples in which the Shawnee ceded large tracts of land to the U.S. government. Angered by what he considered Harrison's unfair tactics in negotiating the deal, Tecumseh and his brother organized a group of local tribes and attacked Harrison's army, thus starting the Battle of Tippecanoe. During the War of 1812, Harrison further reinforced his anti-indigenous reputation when he defeated the British and the tribes that aided them in the Battle of Thames. This additional defeat and the loss of more land to the American government is purportedly what drove Tecumseh's brother, Tenskwatawa, known by the Shawnee as the Prophet, to place a curse of death on all future U.S. presidents elected in years ending in a 0. Harrison was elected president with almost 53% of the vote, but he barely had a chance to settle into office before his death.
Well, see, that's what screwed Biden up right there.
After delivering a very long inaugural address on a cold and windy day, he was stuck in a rainstorm and caught a serious cold, which would eventually produce severe pneumonia infection that killed him 30 days later. His inauguration was on March 4th, 1841, and he died on April 4th. His death was the first in a series of tragedies that struck presidents winning an election at the start of a new decade, a pattern that would become known as Tecumseh's curse, or the curse of Tippecanoe. You got Abraham Lincoln, who was elected in 1860, and only 5 days later, it was 1860, and then in April of 1865, Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. Then you have James Garfield, elected in 1880. That was 20 years after Lincoln's election. He took office in March of 81. On July 2nd, 1881, Charles Goutal shot the president, which eventually led to his death in September of 1881. Then you have McKinley, elected in 1900. And he was shot by Leon Zologs and died on September 14th. Warren Harding was elected in 1920. See, it's every 20 years here. He is widely known as one of the worst presidents of all time. Scandals such as the Teapot presidency. In 1923, when Harding was visiting San Francisco on a cross-country voyage of understanding to meet people, he suffered a stroke and died at the Palace Hotel.
The Palace Hotel.
Franklin Roosevelt was elected in 1940. And he would be elected again in 1944. And then he died of cerebral hemorrhage in 1945. Since he was elected during one of his terms in a year that ended with a 0, he's considered part of Tecumseh's curse. And then guess what? 1960, who do you have? John F. Kennedy, who became the youngest elected president upon his victory in 1960. And then he was assassinated in the motorcade in 1963 by allegedly Lee Harvey Oswald. They say in 1980 the curse would be broken. Ronald Reagan became the oldest man to be elected president. This actor turned politician suffered highs and lows during his 2 terms in office, and his presidency was tarnished by the Iran-Contra scandal. On March 30th, 1981, John Hinckley attempted to assassinate Reagan. Reagan was shot but was able to survive with quick medical attention. And they say Reagan was first to fall to Tecumseh's curse, and some hypothesize he broke the curse. But then you have all these attempted assassinations. George W. in 2000 survived 2 assassination attempts and several alleged plots during his 2 terms in office. And now we got Joe Biden elected in 2020. We're going to see what happens with him.
Well, he's already had a rocky road, so what can I say? Yeah.
So you had some curses about what was it?
Who?
You said you had what was it? A curse about a cat or something?
Well, we're gonna go first of all the 27 Club, which most.
Oh yeah.
You're familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
Hello. Anybody there?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Hello. I'm here. Yes.
I am not familiar with that.
If you're a rock star and you're about to turn 27, you might want to consider taking a year off to avoid membership to the club. Trust us on this. It's an exclusive club that you won't want to join. Take Robert Johnson, for example. Johnson, who Eric Clapton called the most important blues musician who ever lived, played the guitar so well that some said he must have made a deal with the devil. And when he died at 27, folks said it must have been time to pay up. But since Johnson, a whole host of musical geniuses have gone to an early grave at age, you guessed it, 27. Brian Jones, founding member of the Rolling Stones, died at 27 in 1969. Then it was both Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin in 1970. And Jim Morrison the following year. Kurt Cobain joined the club in 1994, and so did Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse in 2011. All 27 years old. Is it a coincidence? A tragic combination of fame, addiction, and depression at a young age? Or were these musical geniuses paying debts too? Brings to mind a quick story I've shared on occasion. I'm sure that the listeners today probably have not heard me tell this story. But several years ago, I was part of a nationwide team called the Paranormal Clergy. I would get strange phone calls of people claiming to have strange experiences. And then one time, as I was in a motel over in Atlanta, my cell phone rang. This young lady from St. Louis, Missouri, singer, songwriter, you guessed it, 27 years of age. She called and she was having a relationship, she claimed, with the ghost of Freddie Mercury, you know, the lead singer from Queen.
Yep.
And she actually wanted to pay me to come to St. Louis to marry her to the ghost of Freddie Mercury. But she also is very strange because I would get phone calls. I talked to her at length over a period of time. I never did go to St. Louis. I never met her in person. This is days before Facebook. We were still into the MySpace days. And she had her music on MySpace, and she had done some music videos. She was very talented, very attractive young lady. But I'd get calls in the middle of the night from her number, and I'd be talking to the voice of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and Kurt Cobain, all the members of the 27 Club. I was able to talk to on the phone as I had this ongoing session with this young lady who was also 27 and also a musician, songwriter, entertainer. So that's my connection to the 27 Club, and it's about as close as I ever wanted to get to it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Uh-huh.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you have the one about? I think it was the Billy Goat. You said,
Oh, okay. You want the Billy Goat one now?
yeah.
Can-
All right. It's the Billy Goat Curse. That's a DA. In 1945, William Billy Goat Sianis brought his pet goat Murphy to Wrigley Field to see the fourth game of the 1945 World Series between the Chicago Cubs and the Detroit Tigers. Sianis and his goat were later ejected from the stadium after complaints from fellow fans, and Sianis reportedly put a curse on the team that day. Well, ever since then, the Cubs have had legendary bad luck. Throughout the years, Cubs players and fans have experienced agony and repeated late season collapses when victory seemed imminent. In 1969, 1984, 1989, and 2003, the Cubs were painfully close to advancing to the World Series, but just could not hold the lead. Even those who don't consider themselves Cubs fans blame the Hex for the weird and almost comical losses year after year. The Cubs have not won a World Series since 1908. No other team in the history of the game has gone as long without a championship. So there is the Billy Goat Curse.
Wow. And while you were telling that, my internet flaked out on me. So that's
Catherine, look at her. Look at all that hair on her face, the glasses. Can you see her eyes? Well, Jane Doe, it is all ready to put in a box. I got deathly ill the last few days, and I'm finally, if you tell now, my voice is what it is, but I feel a lot better today. Yours is totally ready to go. I just had to put it in a box and put the labels on it and get it mailed out to you, Jane. I appreciate it. The only other holdback was you wanted me to put an antenna on it, and I had to order the antenna because I was out. But the antenna's on there. Everything's hooked up, ready to go, and your life path number is all up. You're set. You know, Jane, you are a 4, in case you wondered. But you've got a very, very thick manual to go with it. For all the stuff that I put on that machine for you. So, and I'm always available if you have any questions.
I also put a little special love in there.
Catherine says she put a little special love in there for you. I wish she'd put some special love in some for me somewhere. So we're talking about curses tonight. And I think I got the curse of, I might have had the COVID. I don't know. So what about Rasputin?
What about
You heard that one, Kevin?
I know I've heard of Rasputin, but not the curse.
Well, of course, this is a very short one, but we'll hit on it. Rasputin was a self-proclaimed magician and cult leader, wormed his way into the palace of the Romanovs, Russia's ruling family around the turn of the last century. He did so by telling stories to their heir to the throne, a boy named Alexis. His stories kept Alexis calm and sedate. This was important to the royal family because Alexis had hemophilia, which could have caused him to bleed to death if he were injured. Rasputin's power, however, soon went to his head, and a few of the Romanovs allegedly decided to have him killed. But he was exceptionally resilient. Reportedly, It took poison, a fall down a staircase, repeated gunshots, and drowning before Rasputin was finally dead. It's said that Rasputin mumbled a curse as he died, assuring Russia's ruling monarchs that they would all be dead themselves within a year. The Romanov family was brutally murdered in a mass execution less than a year later. Now, you just think about that. If you're out to try to kill somebody and their last words are a curse on you and your family, you better look out.
Yep. I got a quick one here that has to do with Shakespeare, the Curse of Macbeth. It says, okay. There are lots of superstitions in the world of theater. It's bad luck to wish actors good luck, hence the reason people instead tell them to break a leg before they go out on the stage. And it's also bad luck to say the word Macbeth in the theater, except during a performance of the Shakespeare play. Supposedly, this is because tragedy has historically befallen productions of the play. In reality, these stories are a mix of fabrication and selective evidence picking. The legend about the play seems to have started with Max Beerbohm, a British cartoonist and critic born in the 1870s, nearly 3 centuries after Macbeth's first performance. Beerbohm, possibly annoyed that Macbeth was such a popular play, made up a story that the first actor cast to play Lady Macbeth died right after the play's opening night. Since then, this story has become a part of a myth that the play is cursed and has brought bad luck to those involved with it. Though there have been real accidents during runs of Macbeth over its more than 400-year history, these accidents gain more attention than accidents during other plays because of the supposed curse. And that's the Macbeth curse.
I heard to break a leg.
Yeah, break a leg. I always thought that isn't that bad, but apparently it's good.
Now you covered the curse of the presidents. Did you happen to cover the curse of the Kennedy family?
Nope.
So if this family had stayed out of politics and off of airplanes, its fate might have been totally different. Regardless, the number of Kennedy family tragedies have led some to believe there must be a curse on the whole bunch. Of course, being older than most of you guys, I remember that suggestion early on as the Kennedys started dropping like flies. John F. Kennedy's brother Joseph Jr. and sister Kathleen both died in separate plane crashes in 1944 and 1948, respectively. JFK, while serving as America's 35th president, was assassinated, of course, in 1963. He was only 46 years of age. Robert Kennedy, JFK's younger brother, was assassinated in 1968. Senator Ted Kennedy, JFK's youngest brother, survived a plane crash in 1964, but in 1969 he was driving a car that went off a bridge, causing the death of his companion, Mary Jo Kopechne, and ending his presidential goals during the investigation that followed. In 1984, Robert Kennedy's son David died of a drug overdose. Another son, Michael, died in a skiing accident in 1997. In 1999, JFK Jr., his wife, and his sister-in-law died when the small plane he was piloting crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. And I will share with you again another little story from the paranormal clergy days that involved JFK Jr. Because after I dealt with the singer-songwriter lady from St. Louis that was wanting to marry the ghost of Freddie Mercury, believe it or not, that was the 27 Club I was dealing with. I got a call from a very sane-sounding woman out in Denver, Colorado, who was a florist and had a floral shop. She claimed that when she opened up her floral shop, where it was now at that point located, which was what used to be, I believe, a mortuary of some sort, that there must have been an evil entity, a malevolent spirit, that chased away her already married to husband, JFK Jr., of course, this long after he died. And she wanted to secure my services to get her husband, JFK Jr., back. Well, I never went to Denver, Colorado, but I dealt with her extensively on the phone. I must have accomplished the goal that she wanted because the woman actually sent me a check as a donation. But so I have a personal connection with JFK Jr. In the afterlife. I don't know. How do you get an autographed picture from a ghost?
I don't know. That's
I
interesting.
mean, you are an autograph collector.
Yeah, but I've never got one from a ghost.
I bet not. So anyway, those are two interesting stories from my days with the paranormal clergy. I tell you what, some of those things I dealt with in those days would raise your blood pressure. I mean, it was whether you thought the people were crazy or whether you thought it was genuine, whatever you thought, it still was not easy to deal with. I'll just say that, unless you're just so cold-blooded that you didn't have a heart or whatever, it was a very difficult task.
Kevin, I'm shocked that you didn't tell the story of Poltergeist. And
the cursed movie. Oh, well.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about cursed movies, but yeah, that story spawned from the fact, well, they claim that the bodies that were used in the pool scene of Poltergeist were actual dead cadavers, although here in recent years, the guy who served as the special effects on that movie has said, no, that is not true. Those were props. But they claim because those were dead bodies used, they desecrated and violated those bodies, and the ghost got angry, and that's why some of the cast got cursed, which the things that happened, I mean, they had your typical mishaps on set, but the curse stuff didn't really happen until long after the movie was said and done. The earliest thing was a year later, the teenage daughter, the girl that played the teenage daughter of the Freeling family, Dominique Dunn, got strangled to death by her boyfriend outside of her home. And then all was quiet. And then in 1988, little Heather O'Rourke, coincidentally, right after filming Poltergeist 3, suddenly came down with a mysterious intestinal blockage that killed her. And one of the two of the actors in Poltergeist 2, the guy that played Reverend Kane and the guy that played the Native American mystic who helps the family, both of them died within a year after the filming. But Reverend Kane, that actor, he was old and sick. He was sick on the set. So, I mean, that was natural causes. And the Native American guy had cancer. So all those get natural explanations, really, although it was the only one that kind of shocked me was Heather O'Rourke, because she was only barely 13, and suddenly this intestinal blockage happened out of nowhere. I don't think they ever found out what really caused it. They didn't know what it was until too late. When they went to do surgery on her, it was too late, and she died at the hospital. But yeah, a lot of people believe that, and other deaths that happened with some of the older actresses in there, those were natural and happened 2 decades, 3 decades later. So I don't know if there's actually a curse, but here, I think it was last year, Shudder put out a new series about cursed films, and one of them was, of course, Poltergeist. And the props and special effects guy said those were not real bodies. He said, I worked with those. Those were fake props.
Are you sure? He could be lying.
He could be lying. Well, I mean, he was pretty. In fact, he used a little colorful word there. He said, that is a damn lie.
You know, if they pay
Those are
him,
not real.
they might have threatened to put a curse on him if he didn't. That may be why he was cursing.
I laughed too. He goes, that is a damn lie. I have those props. Those were not real bodies.
He took all the fun out of it right there.
But I mean, most of that stuff was natural. The only thing that, well, I mean, the fact that Dominique Dunn was strangled to death by her boyfriend less than a year later, that is kind of scary. But Heather O'Rourke was the only one that stuck out to me that and I hate it because I just know if she was alive today, I'd probably be seeing her at these conventions. She'd probably be signing photos and taking pictures with people. But sadly, she was taken away from us too soon.
Well, it is now and after the 9 o'clock hour, so it's time to say night night.
Night night, nighty night. Peace out.
Peace and love. And
Peace
we will
and
see you
love.
next week for some new conversation. Buena noche.